Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Throwback Thursday. I'm going to talk about another one of our genealogy resources in this morning's video. These books in front of me are part of the bound index of Kentucky birth and death records. Kentucky's official birth and death records date back to 1911, and that's where our collection of these books begins as well. We have most of the records in book form through 1961, although there are a few that are missing, and we have our deaths through 1969. Now, these books are just an index. The actual birth and death certificates are not contained in these books. Those items have to be ordered from the State Office of Vital Statistics if you need those. However, the essential information, name, date, location, and mother's name in the case of birth records, are included here in the books. This information can be incredibly helpful for those who are working on their family trees. If you're stuck and you don't know the parents of one of your ancestors, their birth record may give you their mother's name at least, and that can open the way to all kinds of further information. Likewise, a death record can help give you some information that'll help narrow down some of those family relationships. The indices will also give you the certificate numbers in case you do need to order the official documents, so that makes it easier for state employees to find the correct document for you. To use these indices, you'll first need to know the birth name of the person you're looking for, or if you're looking for a death record, you'll need their name at the time of their death. An approximate year is also helpful. The books are arranged chronologically by year. The early books include more than 1 year in a single book, but later years are bound separately. Some of them even have multiple books for each year as the state population increased, and so did efforts to register all births and deaths. Some of the earlier years also have the birth and death records combined in a single book, while later records separate those into distinct volumes, one for births and one for deaths. Inside each book, the records are arranged alphabetically by last name, so if you know what you're looking for, theoretically, it should be easy to find. In reality, it may take a few tries. There are some errors in the records, so watch out for those. If you're familiar with genealogy, that'll be no surprise to you. Some names may have spelling errors in historical records, so you may have to try a few different spellings to find the listing that you're looking for. Also, keep an eye out for the use of middle names. For example, this here, Edgar Kernett, is my grandfather. His actual name was William Edgar, but as you can see, the name William didn't make it into the index at all. His mother's name is also misspelled on the record. Her first name, Lucy, was spelled with a Y at the end instead of an IE, and her last name, Doan, did not have an E at the end, as it does in the book. Just as a side note, these records, just like birth certificates, will include the mother's birth name, not her married name. That's a good thing, as it makes it easier to continue to trace the mother's lineage backwards and continue your family tree that way. Errors like the ones on my grandfather's listing, of course, don't make that information useless, but it is something to keep in mind. A lot of historical records like these will have small mistakes like those, so when you're looking for information, it's helpful to try a few different combinations of names and spellings, especially if you're having trouble finding a certain ancestor. That way, maybe you'll find them if there was just a mistake in the records. This is another situation where a name may have been misspelled. Various records have different spellings for Roanne Seiler Powers. I've seen her listed as you see in this record as Roanne, one word with no E, with either one or two N's, as Rayanne, and even as Roseanne. Once, she was even listed as Rean. You may also check a few different years, especially if you aren't absolutely sure of the person's birth or death date, just in case someone made an error somewhere with that. You may also come across an occasional situation where someone is just not included in these books. You can probably tell, just from the number of records there are, that most citizens of Kentucky who were born or died here during the relevant years are included, but some people apparently were missed. My family has a few of those as well. My grandmother, William Edgar's eventual wife, is not included in any of these books as far as I've been able to find. Neither is her sister. I tried searching for every possible spelling I could think of, and I checked several different years for each of them with no success. It's not clear why their birth records aren't in these books, but there are several reasons that could have happened. It's possible that the person making the index just missed a certificate here and there, although that is quite a bit less likely with 2 siblings. It's also possible that the parents, for whatever reason, simply failed to register their child's birth with the state. And it's even possible that your ancestor was not born or died in the location that you thought. This is especially possible if your ancestors lived relatively near a state border. Again, speaking from personal experience, I searched for several frustrating years before I found my other grandmother's birth record because I was only searching in Kentucky. It turned out that she was born in Tennessee. Once I expanded my search to other states, I found her without any further issues. Our books only cover Kentucky birth and death records for the years I listed earlier, but we do have access to some additional records as well. We have some earlier records on microfilm, for example, as well as microfilm versions of some of the records in these books. These records can also be found online on sites like Ancestry.com. Our patrons do have free access to Ancestry with their library card from home through the Kentucky Virtual Library. If you're interested in using that for your research, you can call us at 270-338-4760 for more information about how to get started. And once Thistle Cottage reopens, our staff there will also be able to access Ancestry to assist patrons with locating the appropriate records. Of course, these books will also be available on the shelves for any Thistle Cottage History Annex visitors to browse after we reopen. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little more about this resource and maybe even learned something that will help you in your research. Thanks for watching!